So, I heard you didn't graduate high school? We don't associate with people like you. Leave now. Kevin, one of my company's employees, was about to close a deal. Suddenly, Mr. Smith, the president of the client company, declared that he would not sign the contract. And the reason was absurd. It was that Kevin hadn't graduated high school. We're a large corporation with many subsidiaries. All our employees are college graduates, and many have even graduated from Ivy League schools. Do you think a company like ours would do business with a company that hires people like you? It's true that Kevin didn't graduate high school, which might lower his social value. So, Kevin couldn't argue back against Mr. Smith's words. However, this was a deal Kevin had meticulously prepared for. I couldn't forgive Mr. Smith for belittling him for something unrelated to the job itself. Understood. So, we'll cancel this $100 million contract. What? I knew how much effort Kevin had put into this deal. That's why I couldn't forgive Mr. Smith for trampling on his hard work so casually. We can't do business with a company that can't see beyond academic credentials. To make that clear, I told Mr. Smith my decision. I'm Hayden Johnson, 38 years old. I work for a company called Johnson Holdings. We handle logistics, supplying daily necessities and groceries to various companies. We have branches nationwide and our own distribution network. Because of this, Johnson Holdings can do business with a wide range of companies, big and small. Although I'm young, I am the president of this company. My father was the founding president of Johnson Holdings. At 70 years old, my father retired from his position. I inherited the company as the second president, learning about management from my father while working hard every day. Mr. Johnson. What's up? While I was working, a salesperson knocked and entered my office. When I was first appointed as the young president, I was nervous. But now I have built a trusting relationship with my employees and can manage the company smoothly. I was worried about being underestimated, but my youth turned out to be an advantage in management. It seems that my young age makes it easier for employees to approach me with concerns. Do you know a company called Smith Trading? Yeah, I know them. They also do wholesale business, right? We received a message from their sales manager, Taylor. They are interested in our products and services and want to discuss a potential deal. Is that so? That's great news. The employee then lowered their voice. And, well, they mentioned they have $100 million ready. $100 million? $100 million is a significant amount. Although I haven't heard the details yet, the deal would likely last for about a year if it goes through. Yes. I thought it would be best to report this to you rather than just handling it within the sales department. Thanks, I appreciate it. I nodded at the employee's words. If you assign this to Liam, the head of the sales department, I'll inform him myself. Right. I'll think about who to assign it to. I'll talk to Liam about the situation. Understood. Thank you. Although there are occasional rumors about Smith Trading, they haven't publicly caused any scandals. And $100 million is a tempting amount for Johnson Holdings. I discussed it with my father and decided on the employee to entrust this important deal to. Me? Are you serious? Kevin was so surprised by my decision that his eyes nearly popped out. Kevin is still an employee at 30, but he is exceptional and seen as highly promising by the management. Your sales record is outstanding. That's why I'd like you to handle this matter. But I'm just a regular employee, and I've never handled such a big deal before. Someone like Liam might be better suited for this. I've already discussed this with Liam. Even with his input, we concluded that you should take this on. I see. But my educational background is. In fact, Kevin didn't graduate from high school. His parents passed away from illness when he was young. Despite having no issues with his academic abilities or social skills, he had no choice but to start working right after graduating from middle school. He has been working since he was 15, gaining experience, but his lack of formal education made it hard to find stable employment. However, his drive and potential impressed me during his interview, so I decided to hire him. Kevin quickly acquired new skills and significantly improved his sales performance, exceeding my expectations. In an industry dominated by large corporations, his lack of a high school diploma stands out negatively. This means that people in the industry know about his background and sometimes make hurtful comments during business meetings. Your educational background doesn't matter. I know how capable you are. Handling a big deal is different and challenging. But I'll support you as much as I can. You can also rely on Liam. I reassured Kevin, who was hesitating. If this deal succeeds, I'll consider promoting you if you're interested. So, why not give it a shot? Alright, I'll do my best. Kevin seemed to draw strength from my trust and nodded confidently. His face was filled with determination. I heard Kevin is taking on a $100 million deal. I believe he can do it, but he's understandably nervous. That's what Emily said. She works in the accounting department. Known for her beauty, she is actually dating Kevin. Both are highly capable at work and attractive. They make a very fitting couple. So, when Emily and I talk, Kevin often comes up in our conversations. Sometimes he calls me to talk things through, Emily added. I see. I hope I'm not putting too much pressure on him, I replied. No, actually, your recognition has boosted his confidence. He's still insecure about his education, Emily said with a smile. Emily gave a wry smile as she talked about a side of Kevin that I had never seen before. Once he succeeds with this deal, he won't be belittled for his education anymore. If anyone mocks him for not graduating high school, he can proudly say, I've closed a $100 million deal. Have you? That's true. Not many people can claim they've handled a deal of that size. I hope this experience becomes a valuable asset for him, I agreed. Yes. I don't know much about sales, but I'll support Kevin as much as I can. I hope this helps ease his worries a bit, Emily said. With Emily supporting him, Kevin would be strong emotionally as well. Thinking about how well suited they were for each other, we finished our break and returned to our respective tasks. Kevin steadily prepared for the deal. He worked on the presentation and the documents needed for the meeting. I provided guidance and consulted my father when necessary to support Kevin. A week before the meeting, Kevin approached me. Mr. Johnson. Can I talk to you for a moment? Sure, what's up? Could you come with me for a bit? Kevin led me to the landing of the emergency stairs. He seemed to have something he didn't want others to hear. This is a bit embarrassing to ask, but I thought you might listen. Go ahead. Whatever it is, I'll listen and keep it confidential if you prefer. Feel free to talk. Well, if this deal succeeds, I plan to propose to Emily. I was surprised by this unexpected news. I had been watching their relationship progress, and it seemed Kevin was finally ready to take the next step. I see. Sorry for talking about something weird. But I didn't know who else to ask. Kevin was completely nervous, his face turning bright red. This kind of conversation is one of the perks of being a young president. Both my girlfriend and I are 30 years old. If this deal goes through, I've been told I'll get a promotion. So my salary and benefits will improve enough to support a family. That's why I think the timing is perfect. Oh, I think it's a good idea. She seems to care about you a lot. She might even be waiting for your proposal. Oh, well. Kevin's eyes widened at the objective statement. His innocent reaction was endearing. You two are a great match. When you do decide to get married, make sure to invite me to the wedding. It's too soon for that. I haven't even proposed to her yet. Well, I'm rooting for you. I'm sure she'll say yes. Do you think so? Hearing that from you gives me confidence. I'll do my best. Yeah. I also have to do my best to help you succeed. About a week later, the big day of the business meeting finally arrived. Since this was a major deal worth $100 million, I, as the president, also accompanied him. As he drove the company car towards Smith Trading, his face was tense. Kevin, you've worked hard to make this deal happen. You've prepared the documents and practiced your presentation thoroughly. Just show what you've been working on, and you'll be fine. Yes. It's your first time handling a deal of this scale, so it's natural to be nervous. But I'll be there to support you if needed. Just stay calm and do your best. Not only was the deal worth $100 million, but Kevin had also decided to propose to Emily if the deal was successful. Telling him not to be nervous was asking too much. Still, if he did as he practiced, the deal would surely succeed. I believed so. Eventually, we arrived at Smith Trading. I'm Kevin from Johnson Holdings. We're here for a meeting with Mr. Taylor from the sales department. We've been expecting you. Please proceed to the reception room on the 5th floor. We were guided by the receptionist and headed there. In the rising elevator, Kevin clutched his office bag tightly, which contained the documents and his tablet. We reached the reception room. After knocking, we entered to find Mr. Taylor already waiting. Hello. I'm Kevin from Johnson Holdings. I'm Hayden. Thank you for taking the time to meet with us today. No problem at all. I'm Taylor from Smith Trading. I've heard a lot about Johnson Holdings. Thank you for coming today. We exchanged business cards and sat down on the sofas facing each other. Then, we began the business meeting. Mr. Taylor, I understand your company is interested in our products. Yes. We'd like to utilize your products and extensive distribution network for our future operations. Understood. Let me first explain our distribution system. This is a significant deal. But I believe this will give you confidence in using our products and services. Thank you. Please go ahead. Kevin prepared the meticulously crafted documents. He began presenting the products and distribution services of Johnson Holdings. Wherever the copied documents were insufficient, he flexibly used the tablet to display additional materials. He answered Mr. Taylor's questions accurately and courteously. Mr. Taylor seemed positive about the deal, accepting Kevin's presentation favorably. As they negotiated the contract terms, the meeting approached its conclusion. If you're satisfied with these contract terms, please sign here. Yes. I'd like to proceed with the contract. Mr. Smith has entrusted me with this matter. Mr. Taylor took out his pen and was about to sign the contract. However, the door to the reception room suddenly burst open. An elderly man, who appeared to be over 60, entered without even knocking. Hold on. That contract is cancelled. Mr. Smith. Taylor exclaimed in shock. It seemed that the man who had rudely appeared was Mr. Smith, the president of Smith Trading. Ignoring Taylor, Mr. Smith strode over to us with large steps. He then spoke with a mocking smile. Kevin, right? Yes. Kevin, unexpectedly addressed by Mr. Smith, stiffened in surprise and stood up straight. I heard you didn't even finish high school. We don't deal with lowlifes. Leave now. What? Kevin's eyes widened at the unexpected reason for the rejection of the deal. I thought the name Kevin sounded familiar. You're well known in this industry for not having a high school diploma, aren't you? That's... The fact that Kevin hadn't graduated from high school was a whispered fact within the industry. I was well aware of it too. However, neither Kevin nor I had anticipated that his educational background would be pointed out in this business meeting. Our company is a large enterprise with many subsidiaries. All our employees are college graduates. And many are elite graduates from top universities. Do you think a company like ours would do business with one that employs someone who didn't finish high school? Kevin couldn't respond to Mr. Smith's words. He understood that in society, educational background is one of the measures that determine the value of a person. That's why he couldn't counter Mr. Smith's words. At that moment, I recalled some unsavory rumors about Smith Trading. And I realized those rumors stemmed from Mr. Smith. Indeed, Kevin hadn't finished high school. However, his dedication and skills in his job were on par with, if not better than, those of college graduates. And he had been working hard to ensure the success of this deal. It was unacceptable for Mr. Smith, who didn't know this, to dismiss him based on his educational background. Understood, then this $100 million contract is cancelled. What? Mr. Smith was surprised by my unexpected statement. It was natural for him to be shocked since I had entrusted this important deal to Kevin, a reliable employee, and supported him to ensure its success. Hearing me say it was cancelled must have been a shock. Mr. Smith laughed dismissively at me. Hey, What authority do you have to say that? Aren't you just a regular employee? Acting all high and mighty. Mr. Johnson. Please wait. This can't. Kevin also spoke in surprise at my words. I had told him I wanted this deal to succeed and entrusted him with it. So naturally, he was shocked to hear me say it was cancelled. Hearing Kevin's words, Mr. Smith seemed to realize something. Wait, Johnson? Mr. Smith, clearly out of place, spoke up, and Taylor hastily replied. Yes, Mr. Smith. He is Mr. Johnson, the president of Johnson Holdings. Because of my young appearance, Mr. Smith probably hadn't imagined I was the president. He blinked in surprise. At that moment, I confronted Mr. Smith with the consequence of underestimating Kevin. Unfortunately, we have other options for this deal. Kevin prepared materials that are very clear and can be easily adapted for those other options. A company with a president who belittles our employees because of their educational background is not one we can do business with. It's unfortunate. We wouldn't want to deal with a company that puts someone who didn't finish high school in charge of a $100 million deal. Looks like we're on the same page. Exactly. If this deal falls through, it will be a significant loss for your company, but good luck. Mr. Johnson is right, Mr. Smith. What are you saying? What? Taylor hurriedly spoke to Mr. Smith. Although I had heard about the financial situation of Smith Trading, he seemed to be fully aware of it. Because of your arrogant attitude, our company is losing clients. Haven't you noticed that more and more companies are cutting ties with us recently? I did notice that our deliveries have been fewer lately, but companies are dropping us because they don't like how you disrespect them. Taylor told Mr. Smith, who seemed oblivious to his own role in the situation. Is a degree really that important? Well, of course. Sure, our company's hiring criteria require a degree, so only college graduates work here. But what does that matter? He gave a convincing presentation. Losing business over something as trivial as educational background is a huge waste. But, even with Taylor's persuasion, Mr. Smith couldn't let go of his pride. However, Smith Trading's financial situation likely didn't allow for such vanity anymore. We contacted many companies, and only Johnson Holdings responded. If we don't seal this deal, our company is finished. Hearing Taylor's desperate plea, Mr. Smith finally seemed to grasp the gravity of the situation. Kevin, Mr. Johnson, please, we need this deal. Realizing his company's crisis, Mr. Smith's attitude changed dramatically. But the response to his words was already decided. No matter what you say, we're canceling this contract. What? We have $100 million ready. That's why we have other options for a $100 million deal. As I said, we cannot continue doing business with a company that disrespects our valued employees over trivial reasons like educational background. Goodbye. Hey, Kevin. Mr. Johnson. Damn it. Mr. Smith shouted in frustration, but we didn't respond and left the room. Kevin followed behind me. Though the outcome was unexpected, I don't think it was wrong. Mr. Smith will soon realize the magnitude of what he's lost due to his actions. In the company car on the way back, Kevin spoke. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Not at all. I'd heard rumors about Smith Trading, but I never thought Mr. Smith would be such a troublemaker. I'm sorry you had to go through that. No, it's quite all right. Thanks to you, Mr. Johnson, things turned out for the better. Though he spoke politely, Kevin looked exhausted while driving. He had worked hard to make this deal a success. He never expected Mr. Smith to ruin everything. Don't get depressed, Kevin. As I mentioned, we have other options. What are those deals? Don't misunderstand, they weren't a backup for your failure. They were originally meant for another sales team member. But given the situation, I think it would be best for you to handle them. This way, the documents you've prepared won't go to waste. I then started to explain. We have several similar deals lined up. Each may be less than $50 million, but together they'll exceed $100 million. It might be challenging. But are you up for it? Are you sure? Is it really okay for me to handle such important deals? You're bound to be promoted to a manager or director someday. That's why I want you to gain as much experience as possible. More importantly, I don't want you to end this on a note of failure because of Mr. Smith. So, what do you say? Kevin thought for a moment. Then, with determination in his eyes, he answered, "Thank you. I'll do it. Please let me handle it." He truly is resilient. Despite Mr. Smith's harassment and the deal falling through, he remains undeterred and ready to take on new challenges. It's really Mr. Smith's loss to underestimate such a talented employee because he didn't have a degree. Feeling fortunate to have met someone like Kevin, I nodded at his words. And about a month later, that was an excellent presentation. We'd like to proceed with the contract. Thank you. I'll do my best to meet your expectations. Kevin successfully managed the multiple deals entrusted to him. The materials Kevin diligently prepared for the Smith trading deal proved useful for all the other negotiations. All the companies were reputable and didn't care at all about Kevin's educational background. Kevin was celebrated at the company for successfully closing multiple deals worth over $100 million. That's amazing, Kevin. Looks like Kevin is finally getting that promotion. Kevin is really good at his job. He's so impressive. You're all exaggerating, but thank you. By successfully managing multiple deals, his achievements were recognized. Kevin was promoted to manager. I spoke with Kevin in the president's office. Handling multiple deals must have been tough, but you did a great job. I look forward to your continued success. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. I'll keep working hard to contribute to the company. For now, he is a manager, but I am sure Kevin will continue to rise through the ranks. I also considered his promotion favorably. After wrapping up the business discussion and handing him his promotion notice, I asked him something I had been curious about. So, are you going to propose to Emily? Although the Smith trading deal didn't work out, you still achieved significant results. Now is the perfect opportunity. Kevin's face turned bright red, clearly caught off guard by my words. He looked around nervously for a while before finally answering in a faint voice. I actually already have the ring ready. I wanted to make sure I didn't miss the opportunity after closing the deals. I see. So you were well prepared, not just for the presentations. Mr. Johnson. Seeing Kevin's embarrassed expression, I laughed cheerfully. To encourage him, I said, "You'll be fine. Emily probably already knows what you're planning. It's better to act while the passion is still fresh." Yes. I'll do my best. As we were having our pep talk, there was a knock on the door. Startled, I responded, "Come in. Mr. Johnson." An employee rushed in, looking flustered. Then they explained the situation. "Kevin, Mr. Smith is here to see you. He's at the entrance, and the receptionist is dealing with him." "What? Let's go, Mr. Johnson." Kevin and I quickly headed to the entrance. Mr. Smith was pleading with the receptionist. "Please, let me speak with Mr. Johnson. Or Kevin. Our company won't survive otherwise." It seemed that what Taylor had mentioned was happening to their company. Over the past month, Kevin had closed multiple deals. Meanwhile, Smith Trading struggled to find business partners, and existing clients kept dropping them, pushing their business into deeper trouble. We approached the distressed receptionist. "Mr. Smith." "Oh, Mr. Johnson, Kevin." Mr. Smith approached us as if he had found his saviors. "Who was it that mocked Kevin for not having a degree and ruined a critical deal?" "I'll talk to him, please give us some privacy." "Yes." The receptionist headed back into the office. Clearly, witnessing a delicate conversation between two presidents would make her uncomfortable. Once the employee left, Mr. Smith apologized deeply. "I apologize for the other day. I deeply regret my misguided words to Kevin." Although his words and demeanor showed regret, it was hard to tell how genuine he was. It seemed he might be apologizing only because he had no choice but to try to save his company's financial situation. Regardless of his true feelings, I no longer had any intention of listening to him. Unfortunately, we've already found other business partners. We have no intention of resuming our dealings with Smith Trading. Please leave. As I coldly dismissed him, Mr. Smith persisted. Please, don't say that. If you could name your price, we'll consider it as much as possible. Please reconsider doing business with us. Even so, we have no intention of doing business with you. Do you understand what you did to one of our valued employees? I am fully aware. That's why I'm asking. If he truly understood, he wouldn't be here now. I had seen Kevin's determined efforts to prepare for the negotiations despite being overwhelmed with anxiety. There was no way I would forgive Mr. Smith, who mocked Kevin for his lack of education and ruined the deal. I looked back at Kevin for confirmation. He met my gaze and slowly shook his head. It seemed he had no intention of forgiving Mr. Smith either. Please leave. No, please reconsider. Despite making it clear we weren't interested, Mr. Smith wouldn't back down. Just as I was wondering what to do, an unexpected person appeared. Are you Mr. Smith? Emily. Hearing her voice, Kevin turned around. It was Emily. Seeing her, Mr. Smith's expression turned sour. What is it? I'm talking to Mr. Johnson and Kevin right now. Go back to your desk. Excuse me, but I'm very angry about how you treated Kevin. What? How dare you come here after belittling him? Mr. Smith shrank under her angry glare. Despite being a woman, her words and stance carried immense power, and Mr. Smith was overwhelmed. We all fell silent. Emily glared at Mr. Smith and said, "We will not engage in any negotiations with you. Leave." Yikes. Intimidated by her fierce demeanor, Mr. Smith fled. After watching him flee in a panic, Kevin spoke. That was amazing, Emily. Feeling embarrassed about being seen angry, Emily blushed and covered her cheeks with her hands. It's a bit embarrassing. But I was so angry when I heard that your deal was rejected because of your educational background after you worked so hard. Despite the situation, she stood up for someone important to her without hesitation. I found her bravery admirable. And it seemed Kevin was touched by her feelings. I was really about to lose hope, so I'm glad you stood up for me like that. Really? Thank you. But I'm just glad your hard work wasn't wasted. Emily smiled with relief. The contract had once been cancelled by Mr. Smith. However, the efforts Kevin put in led to the success of many other deals, and Emily was undoubtedly as happy as he was. After all, she had supported him more than anyone else. Emily, Kevin said, looking determined. I think now is the time. There's something I want to ask you. What is it? Kevin had likely been carrying it around, waiting for the right moment. He took out a beautifully sparkling ring from his pocket. Then, he took Emily's left hand and slipped the ring onto her ring finger. I've always loved you, Emily. I planned to tell you once this deal was successful. Although the Smith Trading deal fell through, I succeeded in all the other deals and got promoted to manager. I believe I can support you properly now. So, will you marry me? Kevin's expression was filled with nervousness. He might have been more anxious than when he was during the Smith Trading negotiations. It was natural since this was a moment that would significantly shape his future. Emily was surprised by the unexpected proposal. But soon, she smiled and responded. Yes, I will. Time passed, and we heard that Smith Trading had gone bankrupt. They had insulted their business partners for lacking college degrees. Moreover, there were many stories within the industry about Mr. Smith looking down on his partners. No company would want to do business with such a firm. So it was only natural for Smith Trading to go under. Taylor, considering whether to find another job, was scouted by me. He was an excellent employee who understood the situation and could speak up even to a president. Letting someone as talented as Taylor go to waste would be a great loss. He happily accepted the offer and has been performing exceptionally well in the sales department of Johnson Holdings. Eventually, Kevin and Emily got married. And now, I am attending their wedding. Kevin, in his tuxedo, and Emily, in her white wedding dress, looked incredibly happy. Seeing them finally achieve happiness made me proud as their employer who supported them throughout. As their boss, I was asked to give a speech. About 6 months ago, Kevin successfully closed deals worth over $100 million in total. Many of you might already know about his outstanding achievements. However, there's another story related to this that I am aware of. Kevin, realizing what I was about to share, blushed with embarrassment. Actually, Kevin had confided in me that he planned to propose to Emily if the deal succeeded. Believing it was a decision worth making, I encouraged him. He took on the challenge not only to contribute significantly to Johnson Holdings but also to become someone worthy of Emily. And through his hard work, he successfully closed multiple deals. Everyone listened intently to the story of Kevin's efforts. Meanwhile, Emily was very worried about Kevin and supported him behind the scenes. I heard she often helped him when he was anxious. It was her emotional support that allowed Kevin to withstand the pressure and succeed in those deals. Many guests were unaware of Emily's efforts to support Kevin. As I spoke about her dedication, the guests listened attentively. That deal was essentially accomplished by both of them together. With such mutual care and support, I'm sure they'll build a happy family in the future. Congratulations on your marriage. The guests gave a resounding applause to my speech. They all celebrated the union of the two who truly cared for each other. Several years have passed since that joyous wedding. As a couple working within the same company, they continued to be supported by their colleagues. Emily, still working in accounting, was now on maternity leave, having been blessed with a child. Meanwhile, Kevin continued to excel as a manager and was now considered a candidate for the next department head. Seeing a happy family being built within my company brings me great joy as their president. I am now in my early 40s. Though still young as a president, I take pride in having helped make two of my employees happy.